President Trump with some strong words in the Oval Office for Iran, saying that he's demanding the regime compensate Americans killed or seriously wounded in Iranian attacks. Commander-in-Chief basically responding to Iranian demands that the United States pay for war damages in their country. Alex Hogan live at the White House amid a report that President Trump used a ruse to fly out of, or his whole security team, to get him out of Turkey because of an Iranian threat. We all remember the plane switch that happened on the way home from that trip, and now we're learning a lot of new details. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Martha. Absolutely. So what we're hearing from the president yesterday, he said that the U.S. Navy is sweeping and has swept the Strait of Hormuz of mines, and that the U.S. could escalate. At the same time, we're learning more about this Iranian threat against the president last month. So the Washington Post reporting that despite this footage that we see here of President Trump in Turkey at the end of the NATO summit, climbing up and boarding onto the Air Force One jumbo jet, he didn't actually take that plane. The report says that minutes later, the president was shuttled away in an airport catering truck. Now, Fox has not been able to independently confirm that the president took a catering truck, although according to the Post, the president was taken to a smaller plane, an Air Force C-32A. Still, members of the press and other staffers from the White House were still on that Air Force One plane. They were told to close their window blinds. Later, the press asked the president about this. This is what he had to say at the time.
They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it. Now, these are sick people.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against your
Well, I have a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go, right?
White House Communications Director reacting to this story this week, saying, as the president has said recently, there are many enemies of America who have their sights on him. We use every tool at our disposal to address those threats. Martha, back to you.
Interesting. Alex, thank you very much.
In the meantime, the conflict continues, and retired Lieutenant General Karen Gibson is here to talk about that. And good day to you, former Intel Director, U.S. Central Command General. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have we reached a stalemate in this conflict?
It appears so. I think it's very interesting, these strong demands that both sides are making right now, that Iran is demanding reparations for harm. They know we're not going to agree to that. They've also previously demanded that we withdraw all of our military from the region. We're not going to do that either. And, you know, frankly, I think the president's demand that they pay reparations to the families of people who've been executed or killed in Iran, that's also incredibly infeasible. And so the fact that both sides are making really strong demands that they know the other won't accept just illustrates how far apart we are in terms of negotiations. And the second point I'd make on this bill is that for those who are asking about splits between the moderates and the hardliners in Iran, this really shows me that it is, in fact, the hardliners who are calling the shots, not more moderate figures like the president or the foreign minister.
I want you to react to two things here. Every Monday, General Jack Keane stops by our program. Here's what he said yesterday.
You got to understand where this regime is really coming from. The people who are running it, they have an ideology that they're holding to. They absolutely believe right now that they have the upper hand. I know there's people that don't want to admit that, but that's where the Iranians are. I'm not saying that's where they are. I don't believe it myself. But it's irrelevant. They believe it.
What do you make of that, General?
Well, I agree with General Keane. I do think the Iranians think they have the upper hand. Certainly, they think that time is on their side. Now, they've been decimated from a conventional military perspective, but that's not sufficient to end the threat to the Strait of Hormuz. It doesn't take much to raise that perception. Economically, they are in even worse straits than they were before. But as General Keane says, it's a very committed, almost fanatical, ideological commitment to the Islamic Revolution, and they do believe that time is on their side.
Okay, last point here, Wall Street Journal editorial board. Just going to read the headline, ask you a question about it. It reads, Trump's blockade keeps the economic pressure on Iran. Is there any suggestion that we can't keep this blockade going for another 6 months or another year, or how do you see that?
I think we can keep the blockade for a very long period of time. The question is, how does Iran mitigate that through overland or other routes?
Meaning?
Meaning the Caspian Sea, meaning they border 7 nations, trucking equipment out via train or wheeled vehicles, getting their material in and out of Iran through means other than the Gulf of Oman.
Okay, it's great to have you back. Thank you, Lieutenant General Karen Gibson in Wisconsin today. Thanks for coming back. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.